Who really runs the world? Giant corporations or nations? Since the beginning of the 21st century, the question of true power in the world has become more complex than ever, as the global landscape is no longer defined solely by traditional struggles between major powers, armies, and weapons. A new player has risen to challenge the authority of states: giant corporations. Today, we live in an era where companies like Apple, Amazon, Google, Saudi Aramco, Tencent, and BlackRock possess economic power that surpasses the GDP of entire nations, while countries still retain their classic tools of unmatched authority such as sovereignty, institutions, military force, and legal legitimacy. This raises a fundamental question: who really runs the world? In the past, power simply meant a strong army, a large economy, and territorial sovereignty. But in the modern age, it includes control of data, influence over media, dominance of markets, the ability to shape the lives of billions, control over advanced technology, and the creation of economic and social dependencies among people and nations. Because of this shift, corporations have begun evolving into global political and economic actors, while nations struggle to redefine their roles in a world where corporate influence grows stronger every year. Chapter 2: Corporate Power: When the Economy Becomes a Political Tool. Today's technology companies represent the closest model to modern transnational empires. Google controls over 90% of global searches. Meta operates the largest social network in history. Apple's value exceeds $2.5 trillion, higher than France's GDP. And Amazon dominates both e-commerce and cloud infrastructure. Their true power lies in controlling information. Whoever controls data can influence societies, politics, and even global markets. The 2016 US elections demonstrated this vividly. Tech companies, directly or indirectly, shaped public opinion through content moderation, recommendation algorithms, and targeted advertisements. Elections today are not just battles between political parties. They are contests between those who own data and those who can manipulate perceptions and decisions of millions. Chapter 3: Transnational Corporations: Power the Size of Nations. Some corporations have grown so large that they rival entire countries in economic influence. Saudi Aramco, with a market capitalization over $2 trillion, earns more annually than the combined GDP of the UAE, Egypt, Sweden, and Switzerland. It not only produces oil but controls global energy markets, affecting prices and international stability. BlackRock, managing over $10 trillion in assets, has stakes in major tech, energy, and banking firms, influencing stock markets and financial policies worldwide. Even consumer companies like Nestlé, through bottled water distribution, shape water policies, government contracts, and security in developing nations, sometimes exerting more influence than local authorities. These corporations operate like quasi-states, capable of affecting economies and politics globally. Chapter 4: How Corporations Threaten National Sovereignty. Global tax evasion and lobbying are two main tools corporations use to gain influence. Apple, Google, and Amazon route profits through tax havens like Luxembourg, Ireland, and Panama, depriving nations of billions for healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Lobbying expenditure is enormous. In Washington alone, over $3 billion per year is spent influencing legislation, shaping laws to favor corporate interests while blocking regulations that may limit them. Such power places corporations in a position that can rival states, influencing political decisions and national policies. Chapter 5: Nations are not weak. Despite corporate influence, states retain ultimate authority. Law, military, borders, and currency remain tools only governments fully control. Nations can break up monopolies, impose fines, as the EU did to Google and Meta, or ban products, such as TikTok, in certain US states. Military power remains the domain of states, drawing a clear line between corporate influence and state sovereignty. States also control borders, immigration, labor laws, and taxation. No corporation can create an independent monetary system without state approval, as demonstrated when Facebook's Libra project was halted. This shows that corporations may wield economic and social influence, but ultimate control remains with states. Chapter 6. The China-US Conflict. The global tech rivalry between China and the US exemplifies how technology has become a central battlefield for power. The United States banned Huawei, restricted TikTok, and combated Chinese apps to maintain strategic control over technological and economic futures. China, in response, blocked Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, promoting domestic giants like Baidu, Tencent, and Alibaba. This conflict is not merely commercial. It represents a struggle for global leadership, technological dominance, and influence over international markets. Chapter 7. Who is more powerful? Corporations or states? The question is complex. Corporations control money, data, and technology, while states wield law, military, and sovereignty. Companies can pressure governments through economic influence, employment, and innovation, but states can legislate, ban, or regulate corporations instantly. Some corporations, BlackRock, Amazon, Apple, and Google, have grown so influential that states hesitate to confront them for fear of economic disruption. However, states remain the ultimate decision-makers, holding legitimate authority over legal, military, and economic frameworks. Chapter 8. Who runs the world? Power. Today is shared between corporations and states. Corporations manage economies, data, technology, and global markets. States control law, sovereignty, military, and diplomacy. Influence is intertwined. Corporations shape states through financial and technological power. States regulate corporations through legislation, taxation, and sovereignty. Neither rules alone. Power is distributed, shared, and sometimes contested, creating a complex network where influence flows in both directions. The future. 3 scenarios define the coming decades. First, corporations may rise further, dominating AI, data, and global markets, with companies like OpenAI, Apple, Tencent, and Google becoming parallel powers to governments. Second, states may regain control by enforcing strict laws on digital platforms, data, and currencies. Third, and most probable, a forced partnership will emerge, where corporations control technology and economic activity, while states oversee sovereignty, laws, and politics. Ultimately, the world's governance depends on a delicate balance of money, information, technology, geopolitics, and military power, with corporations and states operating in a complex, intertwined network. Corporations have become global powers, and states are compelled to interact with them as entities comparable to medium-sized nations.
Tions.